4th down, the final play, unless they can stick it in the end zone. Dorsey under pressure, throws it, incomplete. The Buckeyes win.
Ezekiel Elliott, and he's got an opening. Elliott off to the races. Can they catch him?
Feature the two backs as receivers, and now a downfield shot on first down for the end zone. Touchdown, Ohio State strikes first. Making adjustments again, and there is Smith running free, breaks a tackle. Ohio State strikes quickly from 45 yards. Pressure comes. Shaw, knocked it out, and picks it up. Jack Shaw, coming down the sidelines. Ohio State scoop and score, and dagger from 82 yards.
Here they come.
Heavy pressure, Howard delivers downfield, and Smith, he's got it! Jeremiah Smith, the 2025 College Football National Champion, Coach Ryan Day, and the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Welcome in, Buckeye backers. We are bringing it to you live from Seattle, Washington, to the cornfields of Enid, Ohio. We are the pulse of Buckeye fans across the nation, with Seattle Matt and Buckeye Steve. Welcome in, Buckeye backers and the Buckeye boys, man. Dev is here. Tell me about your off season so far, man. How's it been? You ready for some Buckeye
been good,
football?
man. Yeah, waiting for Buckeye football, watching all these, following all these recruitments and stuff. Buckeyes are having a heck of a time on the recruiting trail, but, just living life like normal, walking around my Ohio State stuff here in Tallahassee. That normally starts a conversation or two up, but yeah, man, excited. Sure. These official visits are started and ready for football.
Oh yeah, I think we all are, man. June, it's just now about to be June. We got a long way to go before there's even real football. We got practice coming around the quarter. We got media days coming around the quarter. A little more than a month away. That's almost 2 months away. Damn, man. Time's moving slow when football's not on. I know I don't want to wish the summer away, but, man, I live for fall. I live for fall, and I know you do too.
Yeah.
So let's take a trip. Start there. We got to go with these national championships. In your lifetime, what is the best national championship that you've witnessed? Before you answer that question, I got to go back and just kind of look at it, man. You gotta reminisce a little bit about these national titles because they don't come around too often. So, 2002. Obviously, you weren't born, in the 60s, so you didn't see any other ones. It was so long since Ohio State had a chance to win a national title. It was just like, man, they were there a couple of times. The Cooper years, they had those opportunities, but they always seemed to lose that one game. Whether it was Michigan State or Michigan, someone would take them down where they didn't have a chance, even if their team was good enough. And that's why we like the college football playoffs now, because there's always that chance to redeem yourself. But 2002, Cardiac Cats, man, they seemed to win every game by one possession. 7 games they won by one possession. At Cincinnati, at Purdue, overtime against Illinois, double overtime against Miami. I think they won, what were the other games? By one possession. I know it was Michigan was one possession. It was just, man, everything led up to Miami being the greatest team of all time. Like at that time, everyone thought Miami was the greatest team of all time. Couldn't be beaten. Their quarterback had never been sacked. It seemed like their quarterback had never been sacked. I think he only was sacked maybe 2 times all season.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
And he was sacked 5 times in the first 4 possessions. This is insane. I mean, they just got after him. And then they were hanging banners. Their alumni were hanging after-party banners before the game even started. And Tressel got a hold of one of those, hung it in the locker room. I talked to Matt Wilhelm about it, interviewed him, and he was like, yeah, they made it into our locker room. We were pissed off. We were ready to play. No one gave us a chance. And that was what was so special about that season. Then you go 2014, Braxton Miller goes down before the season even starts. Man, all-world quarterback. We had that loss at home. JT Barrett then goes down, Oh, man, and they kind of redeemed themselves, like everyone thought, the wheels had fallen off after losing to Virginia Tech, man. Then Michigan State comes around. Michael Thomas goes off that touchdown. I'll always remember that, like a little post over to Thomas, and he takes it to the house against Michigan State. We're like, uh-oh, we got a team now. We got a team. And then JT Barrett goes down. Zeke takes over. 12 gauge comes in and shows Devin Smith why he's a championship wide receiver, man. And then Zeke has 220 yards in the most important games of his career in the Big Ten championship game against the Badgers, man, 59-0. Then they go and take on the SEC champ Alabama and win that game. They dominated that game and should have won it by more. And then they go and dominate Oregon. So that was crazy. And then that brings us to this year, man. And you know everything about this year. Everyone's been, everything about all these championship games. But 2024, I mean, what a roller coaster. That had to have been the biggest roller coaster. We came in with high expectations. Like, you wanted a championship. We all wanted a championship. We had the team to get championships. But, man, everything fell apart. Those first 3 goals were gone. Lose to Oregon, and it was like, you know what? That's kind of expected. You go out there, lose a game. All right, we can get past that one loss. Then that Michigan debacle happened. Holy cow. It seemed like the world was over. There was no coming back from that. Tennessee at home, you get them, take care of that. Go out to the Rose Bowl, take care of that Oregon team that beat you at their place. Then you go take on Texas, basically at a home game in the Cotton Bowl, win that game, and the national title against Notre Dame. What one is just the game for you? I mean, if you could relive.
For me, I was 11 years old in 2002, right? And I have a little bit different of an experience when it comes to that situation, because believe it or not, like, I wasn't raised. Nobody in my family was obsessed with football. The reason why I got obsessed with the Buckeyes because my best friend was. So I remember going to his house at 11. He invited a bunch of his buddies over to watch that game. And I watched it, but I didn't follow the Buckeyes like that. And moved to 2015. Everybody knows my past and my history wasn't some of the best times of my life. It was getting kind of wild during that time. But even so, this year, I mean, everything about it, I'm gonna be honest, I just fell in love with it, right? Number one, I've never been so connected to a Buckeye team before, doing this YouTube thing and all of that. I'm get even more connected to players after that, but it was how they did it. It was the way that, and plus I went to every playoff game. I was at the first Oregon game. So I got super connected to these Buckeyes this season. It felt like I knew them, even though I talked to a few of them, but not most of them. But the way they overcame that, everything they went through, the expectations before the season, and then definitely, hate to bring it up again, but losing to our rivals, and then coming out and the way they handled the hardest playoff run in college football history didn't look hard to them, to be honest with you. It just didn't. Like I said, I was at all those games. Texas one, I got a little bit nervous at, but I still had that feeling of, there's no way we can lose. There's just no way. Like that. I still had that feeling. There was a couple times, right? We all watched the Texas game, but still, I loved the fight in this team. And then the backstory of this team too, hearing about that players only meeting with Ryan Day in it.
Oh yeah.
Everything about it. For me, it's this one, and it's not really close for me right now. I understand if, in 2002, I understand that game and that run, that was a pretty wild season, and going out and beating that Miami, all that stuff about that was amazing. But I was just way more focused, way more connected to this. Real fast, man, I got to shout out everybody in the chat over here on the Buckeye Boys side and the Buckeye Backer side. Appreciate you guys for joining us. Hit that like button if you are watching with us. We appreciate you watching. But yeah, man, this year, Your intro video is fire. I love it. I cannot tell you how many times I've rewatched these playoffs. It's insane.
Oh yeah.
People would think I'm crazy. I'm talking. There's been at least 3 weekends where I've sat down and watched the entire Tennessee, Oregon, Texas, and Notre Dame game. All of them from beginning to end, commercials and all. Seriously, I got them all.
I can't tell you how many times I fell asleep on my couch to all of them on.
I know. It's wild.
No idea. I mean, it's stupid, but I usually in the off season, I get rid of YouTube TV, because you can pause it. I re-upped it just to watch those because I have them saved on YouTube TV. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to pause it anymore. I'm just going to relive this and pay for YouTube TV for the rest of the summer because I need to watch those games. And that, I don't want that, dubbed version on YouTube, the regular YouTube.
No.
I want to see that high definition, man, relive that. But I have to disagree with you, man. I got to go back to 2002.
Yeah.
When you're recording games on VHS, I was there. It was the first time in my life that I've had my dad be like, yeah, I'll buy tickets to a game. Because I was kind of joking with him. I was like, hey, Dad, if we beat Michigan here, you're going to buy tickets to the national championship game? And he was like, yeah. I was like, what? What just happened? My dad was really, really frugal. So when he said that, I was just like, oh, my goodness, we're going to go. It was the greatest time of my life. I was there. Maybe not the greatest time, but at that time, it was the greatest time of my life.
Yeah. I got to give a quick shout out, man.
Go for it.
Epi Citinelli's the defensive end, 2025 defensive end. First day on campus was today. He showed up, or maybe it was yesterday when they got in. His dad's in the chat, man. Shout out to his dad. His dad made us some pretty fire Buckeye boys, Ohio State, like cups. Really nice. I can't wait to show them on here. But yeah,
absolutely.
Epi is in the building now and here to help these Buckeyes out. So just got to give him a shout out real fast.
He just posted something today in the Woody. I'm at home. So I love that. That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Going back to this, just this history that Ohio State has. It's fun to relive. Emily says it was 1997 Rose Bowl. That was her 18th birthday. Like, holy cow. And just like you said, when Christopher's like the best 4-game stretch I've ever seen at Ohio State. Yeah. That's the thing about this season that you can't take away. That 4-game stretch where you've never had that opportunity. I mean, something similar, Urban Meyer, 2014, when he goes, Big Ten championship game. Then he goes on and beats Alabama, which at that time it was like, no one's upsetting the SEC.
I know.
No one's upsetting Alabama. And Urban Meyer was the only guy that could do it besides Dabo.
The third-string quarterback.
I know, which is insane. That's never going to happen again. No one's ever going to win a national title with a third-string quarterback. There's no way. Yeah, and you're getting some. I call it the locker room. So for us, it's the locker room here when we talk about the comments. So if I say that and you don't know what I'm talking about, because we're streaming to both. If y'all don't know, it's every time that we do a show, Buckeye boys are able to stream it to their network too. So you're getting it on both ends.
Brings more people here. The more Buckeyes in here, the better. We love it. But yeah, man. The history of these Buckeyes is it's so cool. And you love how when you see a coach like, Ryan Day come in and just each coach has brought their own little thing, but there's still that foundation of the Block O that everybody knows it. Everybody knows the Woody, the horseshoe, the Block O will go on forever. Nothing is bigger than the Block O, not Jeremiah Smith, not Ryan Day. I mean, that's something that's also really cool. And there's a select few other teams in college football that still have that, because this blue blood conversation anymore, I don't know, it gets kind of funky, man, because there's some teams whittling their way out of this blue blood category, if you ask me. I mean, it's like, bro, where Nebraska, where we at? You know what I mean? Like, what's going on here? But Ohio State, it's just like they have been at the top echelon of college football for so long, and you wonder why we have the most haters out of any team. You know, I'm at my real estate agent today. I'm buying a house, and
Nice.
I showed up in this, and all
Awesome.
of it. And he was like, "Oh, I didn't realize you're an Ohio State fan. This changes things." And I'm like, "Yeah, I figured it probably would." And he
That's
said,
why I
"But
wore
the
it."
truth is, I just don't like him because they always win." I said, "Yeah,
Understandable.
You're one of them. I mean, join the crowd."
Yeah. Absolutely. That's funny because I met a realtor today too. That was to sell a house.
Yeah.
I got to fund these trips to Ohio State games somehow.
Yeah. You putting that you want to dive into Emily's question or no?
I do, absolutely. So there is a big recruiting weekend going on, and man, oh man, look at that. I mean, just 5-star galore, right? And the big one that I want to talk about is Xavier Griffin first, because he was committed. You know, he didn't come to Ohio State, as we all know, because he didn't think he fit into the system that Jim Knowles had, which is understandable for a linebacker, right? I mean, there's probably usually only 2 linebackers on the field at the same time, sometimes 3 in different scenarios. But now with a different defensive coordinator, he's like, I'm gonna take another look. And they got to hit it out of the park because all the crystal balls are going to Alabama right now. You got anything on Xavier Griffin right now?
Well, I mean, the last intel I got personally was we don't stand a chance. It's Alabama or it's Texas. We might be running third. But, I mean, this is Ohio State. This is James Laurinaitis we're talking about, okay? I mean, they've got this official visit thing locked down. His mom just posted on Twitter, wow, really enjoying it here at Ohio State. We're hoping to get his mom on the Buckeye Boyz so we can kind of walk through this visit and see how it went. But I mean, all the momentum. His mom is a, Bama alumni or something like that. Bama fan, one of the two, right? And
he's from Georgia,
all
right?
the momentum is.
Is he a
Yes,
Georgia
guy?
He's
from Gainesville, Georgia.
Gainesville, Georgia.
Yeah, but he's the number 1 or number 2 linebacker in the nation. Tyler Atkinson, the other one. We have a better chance with Tyler Atkinson, if you ask me. But still, you get Xavier Griffin on campus, man. These Buckeyes just won a national title. You see what James Laurinaitis is doing in this linebacker room, and we're pulling players out of Texas, Georgia, Alabama, the whole 9 yards. So, and this dude just decommitted from USC. So there's a void to be filled there. And really who this all points to is Matt Patricia, right? Matt Patricia is the one that got our foot in the door in the first place. I mean, I'm sure James Laurinaitis is doing everything he can, but James Laurinaitis doesn't control the scheme. And that's what it's going to come down to. Can Xavier Griffin trust Matt Patricia when Matt Patricia says, hey, right, we're going to be doing a lot with the linebacker position this year. And it's unfortunate he's committing so fast. I believe I forget when he's committing, July or something like that, because he's not going to get a chance to actually see Matt Patricia's scheme first and one player in particular play in it, and that is Arvell Reese. I think this season will change the way that Ohio State recruits linebackers, and we're not going to lose anymore. Who we lose to Alabama last year? Justin Hill, was that his name? Defensive end. I don't think that's going to happen very often after Matt Patricia in this year.
No, I don't either. I mean, they're going to see the difference right away. Matt Patricia's going to use the guys just like they did at the Patriots. Whoever they have, they're going to use them. They're going to find a spot for them, and they're going to use them. They're going to get the best out of everyone that they have. So just go ahead. Don't worry about what defense they're going to run, because you're not going to see that same defense all the time. It's just going to depend on the players that we got. I mean, that's what he does. That's what he's good at. That's why he's here.
Yeah,
because we have players that he has to utilize. Yeah, let's get into Felix, man, because this is one I think if we land him, we're going to end up having the best offensive line recruiting class of all time for Ohio State, and maybe ever. I mean, you can go back to the Mike Brewster years when they got that Brew Crew studs, but man, these guys are good, and even underrated. Like Sam Greer.
Oh, yeah.
Max Riley. Dude, those guys are underrated. If they were down south, they'd probably be 5 stars.
Yep. And they committed to the Buckeyes. You saw Blaine Bradford. Blaine Bradford was the number 1 safety in the nation, right? Like some services had him above Braylon Womack. He committed, and now he's number 7. It's like, okay, guys, get real. But we already know with these Con 3 and some of these recruiting services, we already know what their number 1 priority is. And I get it because they're a business. Their number 1 priority is clicks. That's just what it is. There's no way around it. I don't hate on them for it necessarily because they got to make money. And that's how they make money is clicks. But Felix Ojo, man, I've had a lot of really cool shows on the Buckeye Boys, but he's coming on our show Monday at 6. So we're gonna get a really good feel of how the visit went. But I will say this: the Buckeyes have been in on Felix Ojo for quite some time now, and that's really good. And when I say Buckeyes, I mean to say plural because it's the entire coaching staff. I think Felix Ojo is number 1 on Ryan Day's personal list. That's what I think. I think Ryan Day wants Felix Ojo in this class more than anybody because, the head coach can only be stretched so thin. He can't go see every recruit. So he's got to pick his recruits that he's maybe going to go see in person and stuff like that. Well, Felix Ojo was one of those. And every time I've talked with Felix, which is frequently, I might add, all the coaching staff is still in contact with him. So if we lose this recruitment, it's not because Ohio State got out recruited. Ohio State is currently out recruiting Texas, if you ask me. And you guys know my source here, but that's just the feeling that I'm getting. There's that notion out there that Texas is just going to pay for him and get him. That's a pretty solid notion to have. They are going to offer that bag. They're going to offer it. And just to put it point blank, that's what it comes down to. Is Felix Ojo, is he going to go after that money or is he going to go after the developmental side? I'm not saying he's that type of kid, but when you're that age, sometimes, money, man, you don't know people's situations. It's just tough, man. But as far as the potential of Felix Ojo, I've had him as the number 1 offensive tackle in the class for 8 months now. Like, go back and watch all my videos. I've rated all the position groups. Felix Ojo has always been my number 1. I've always said I think he's going to be the best offensive tackle in this class. So landing him would be and then you also see Ryan Day wants to stop going in the portal for left tackles. I'm telling you right now. The Buckeyes want 3 tackles in this class. They want 3. And you see the room too. So that's got to be good for Felix Ojo to see the opening that's in this room right now as well. He can come in and potentially, if he's that type of freshman, super hard to be offensive lineman, left tackle starting as a freshman, super hard. But still, look at our room. Like, that opportunity is there compared to normal. And Ryan Day, you see the importance he's put on the offensive line this year. He went out and hired 3 offensive line coaches. So I'm telling you, the Buckeyes I think we see a minimum of 6 offensive linemen in this class and a max of 8. And I know that sounds wild, but the Buckeyes, Tyler Bell and Ryan Day, they want to load up, and I know that the package they're getting ready for Felix Ojo as well is on point. In another case in point, as you saw what we did with David Sanders last year, they like Felix Ojo more than they like David Sanders. So
I think
we'll see.
The longer we wait for Ojo, it's better. He's a guy that's waited this long. He's in Texas. A lot of times when you get those out-of-state guys, they want to wait a while to commit. Now, I'm not really sure, if that's his case or not. But it seems like this he's going to take his time. He needs to do some visits to the schools during the fall. And I don't really see anyone on this list making a commitment this weekend.
I have one that I put in a little bit of a guess, but there's no intel there on that. It's just a feeling. But one more thing about Felix Ojo. Do you understand that he's about a year younger than anybody else in this class, right? Isn't that wild? He's like a year younger than all these other tackles. It's wild, but it
seems like those are always the best ones in the end too. Those young boys, man, that they develop while they're in college. Yeah,
they have to. Yeah. But the one commit that I could possibly see happening maybe is Kari Wilder, the defensive end out of California, 6'5", 250. And that's just because of the other people that are recruiting him hard: UCLA, Notre Dame, and Washington.
Okay.
There's one name on that list that stands out pretty substantially, I think, right now. It's Ohio State. I mean,
obviously,
that's just what I'm. Yeah, and he loves Ohio State, but
he's there this weekend.
Yep, he's there right now. Yep.
Well, we need some defensive tackles in this class. That's for damn sure.
I know,
because we could lose a lot next year.
Yeah, the other defensive tackle that there's Cameron Brickle, out. He's a 3-star. He's there right now as well, and there's a lot of people saying he's going to end up in the Buckeye class. It's defensive tackle, obviously, but yeah, I mean, the only other one that's not up here on this list that I would probably lean more towards the Buckeyes is 6'7", 295-pound Aaron Thomas, who's only going into his second year playing the offensive line, which is why he's only a 3-star right now. He switched from defensive line. We've interviewed him several times as well, and his decision will come after officials, and everybody was even going into the officials. Nobody had the lead. He's also going to Florida State, Texas, and Texas A&M. It's a kind of a Texas A&M, Ohio State battle. A lot of people are presuming FSU because his parents are FSU alumni. He said that's not the case. It's going to come down to his officials. So he might be that third tackle in the class or even that second. But, yeah, we'll see.
Cool. Yeah, we need those DTs bad. I mean, you saw it this year. I honestly was thinking about it today. I'm not sure that I believe that Day was like, we're not going to take someone just to take someone at DT. I think they struck out. I think those guys wanted to go somewhere else, and that was just kind of, one of those things that a coach says at a press conference. Because look at quarterback. They wanted a fourth quarterback so bad, they just took somebody. I don't even know the guy's name. I'm not even going to memorize it until he gets some action because I don't think he's ever going to see the field. I'm sure I will know the name, once the season goes on. But, man, like, where did he go? Like, Texas Christian, not Texas Christian. It was like some random.
Yeah.
Like, and he wasn't even a starter. It was some random Texas school. I don't remember his name. I don't remember where he was, but I know he had like 500 yards passing. Yeah, you got to look that up.
Eli Brickhandler from Houston Christian. Yeah, so he came. Yeah. Yeah, he came here on scholarship because we needed another body in the room. But I think he has an interest in coaching in the future.
Okay. But if you're going to do that at quarterback, why wouldn't you do that at DT? Like, we're not going to take someone just to take someone. They just took someone just to take someone.
I have went off on this. I am so far from the crowd that thinks that we are severely lacking at defensive tackle this year. I'm not on that end of the spectrum. I am convinced that if Ryan Day and Larry Johnson were that worried about defensive tackle, that they would have went in and got a defensive tackle. They got 2 defensive ends. This is Ohio State. They pull Quinshon Judkins, Caleb Downs, Will Howard. They get positions that they need to get. They don't not get them. I mean, they go out and they find somebody and they get them. Look at all the offensive linemen they just signed in the transfer portal. And what, 3 of them? Yes, 3. So, I mean, I don't know. That's just where I stand. And everybody keeps talking about how much Ryan Day talked about defensive tackles in his press conferences. That's because he was asked about them.
Yeah.
Because everybody kept asking about him. The coach is going to talk about it when you ask him about it, right?
Maybe it was a motivational thing. Maybe there was a couple of guys that weren't really picking it up that needed that little boost. Like, hey, I'm going to bring someone in if you don't show up.
That's exactly what I was just going to say.
It was maybe the conversations he had, behind the scenes in that coach's room were like, hey, man, I need you to pick it up or we're going to have to go get someone to take your spot. I don't know if it's that direct, but to me, I think that's what happened now. Just with this conversation, me and you talking here and everyone in the chat, I'm like, dude, I really think Ryan Day said that to motivate someone. Someone needs to step it up.
Yeah. And again, the other people could be right too. They could be, but the point is that everybody talking about it doesn't know. Nobody knows. And the other thing is, you can't judge these defensive tackles based off what have you seen, because what have you seen from them? They haven't had that opportunity, and they have a whole offseason to get better. So we're sitting here saying that we don't trust our coaches and weight room and body by Marotti to get these players ready. And yeah, Ryan Day might have said they were thin at defensive tackle this year, but let me ask you this. How many defensive tackles made an impact last year on the team?
Yeah. And all of a sudden, Tyleik Williams come out of nowhere and gets drafted in the first round. So they're going to get some guys like that. It's going to happen. I mean, I think you got Edric Houston. Their starting lineup's not going to be a problem. They're not going to have a problem at all. It is the depth that's the concern, but I think that they have the pieces there. We got Jason Moore. We got Mensa showing some things, and there's some young guys in there too.
Yeah, for sure. You just kind of got to wait and see. People want to bring up the spring game too. That's a 0-4. You can't bring that up. The defense ran 3 plays, and it's the spring game. How many times do Buckeye fans need to watch spring games? They make a conclusion about a player, and then the season comes, and we never see the player play again that made an impact, or things changed. Last year's spring game, oh my God, we're going to have a horrible offensive line. Guess what? One of the best in the nation won a national title. This year's defensive line, they ran 3 defensive sets in the spring game. I mean, and everything can change. But again, everybody could be right. Maybe we do struggle really bad at depth. I'm just not one of those people. I'm not going to say either or right now. I am leaning towards the more positive side because we didn't get one in the portal, like you're bringing up. Like, if they wanted one that bad, if it was that bad, you think Ryan Day is just going to sit back and not make something happen? I mean, I don't believe that, but we'll see.
Not with what they have on the line. Not with a chance of going back-to-back and winning another national title. No. If they needed it, it would have been here. And they would have put the money into it because they would have had to. You think about all that money that they unloaded as far as NIL is concerned, everyone going pro. They got some cash to work with now. I mean, we got to think of this more like, it's so weird to say. They got some cash to work with now. We can go out and, buy what we need. I know. And that's not even the case with Ohio State. It's not as much like that as some other schools. We're not paying the Nico Iamaleava type of money when you haven't done anything yet. Yeah. I mean, the other thing about this defensive line is, Bo Atkinson played a large percentage of his snaps last year at North Carolina on the inside, a defensive tackle. And we have Matt Patricia, who, what does he do best? He plays to his players' strengths. So therefore, if for some reason we are lacking a defensive tackle and don't have enough to rotate in and out, because I think our starting defensive line is going to be as solid as they come in the nation. But it's that second team that you're questioning there. But look at our weapons that we have at linebacker, defensive end room after the portal has grown to a point where we're pretty solid there as well. But over our Reese, Sonny Styles, and the fact that Peyton Pierce has stepped up so much allows the ability to scoot Sonny or Arvell up, scoot Bo Atkinson on the inside, or whoever else on the inside, shoot Jackson on the inside, whoever, right? And just run different fronts. I think we'll possibly see that this year as well. Oh, for sure. Definitely. Yeah. They're going to mix things around, and they're going to have to, I think, to get the right 4 guys, 5 guys out there when they really need it. But, the guys in the middle that are going to be the starters, obviously we know that there's no problem there. K-Mac is going to hold it down too. Houston is going to hold it down. I'm glad to see that Houston actually moved inside this season because he came in as an edge. But the dude, he's going to be a good DT. Definitely going to be a stud. I mean, we saw a little bit of it last year, and the more that we see this year, the more you're going to like it. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait for this football season to start. But we got to get a break. Let's get some Dano season. We'll talk some more Buckeye ball when we get back. Yum, yum, get you some. Yum, yum, get you some. Yum, yum, get you some. Yum, yum, get you some.
seasoning, food's favorite flavor.
Yum, yum, get you some.
I'm Joe Burrito, your favorite burrito. Whoa, whoa.
Joe, we
Hey.
all know you're the best.
What?
You can always do better.
What you got?
Try the new Dano's Hot Chipotle.
Hey. Ooh, that's spicy. Yum, yum.
Yum, yum, get you some.
Dano,
Yum.
go get
I had to
you
get me some. I had to get me some water. Man,
Yeah.
I'm parched. Anyway, let's get into this recruiting class because we don't have a lot right now compared to the leaders. USC right now has 26, right?
27.
27.
Hey, did you know that they have 27 and they wouldn't even be in the top 5 of last year's classes?
No, and they wouldn't. You got to go based on, star rating, right?
Yeah.
Your average stars is really where you want to look at when you're looking at a recruiting class till you get to the end. You can claim a summer, recruiting title all you want, but it means nothing. It means absolutely nothing right now.
Nothing.
But, people on Twitter will be claiming, they're the best recruiting class in the nation. Of course.
A side note, did you know that USC is paying, for instance, players like Mark Bowman as much as $20,000 a month to not go on any other visits, to not post any cryptic things on social media, to pretty much stay committed to USC. USC is paying their players, their recruits, to stay committed and not take other visits. It's wild, bro.
But you know how much that can backfire? Like how often, yeah, sure, I'll take that for the rest of the summer and then go somewhere else.
Yeah.
I mean, why? That's a no-brainer. Like that is eventually going to cause problems.
Yeah, I agree.
And you're going to lose a lot of donors that way too.
Yeah.
Everything Ohio State's doing is fantastically smart right now. And I
Yeah.
still think what we're going to see with the development of the offensive line and waiting to get some of those guys, and I don't think that it was done on purpose, but getting some of those guys through the portal, like Josh Simmons last year, and then this year, Ethan Oniawa and Daniels, I think that waiting to see what the product is instead of paying up front for some of these offensive linemen and defensive linemen are those guys that sometimes don't pan out. They're the biggest miss rate in college football recruiting because those guys have to develop. They have to turn into real men, huge men, and they have to be athletic. So I think that the process that they got, maybe on accident, is better financially than going out and paying guys from the start a couple $1 million.
Yeah.
Because you got to prove it. If you're going to pay a guy that much, they got to come into play, number one. And number two, they better be good. You better not be getting the quarterback hurt.
I love how Ohio State does their high school recruiting in terms of nil payments. They have like a 3-tier thing where, hey, you're going to come in and you're going to play now. If they think that, they're going to pay you tier A. If they think you're going to come in, be a couple-year developmental player, tier B and tier C. That's how they do it. And what they're doing is they're not going to have to change their recruiting process if the NCAA puts that cap on this or nil changes or anything. And, they always want their foundation to come from high school. But if it doesn't, they're going to go to the portal. They will not overpay a Felix Ojo, right? They have their tier A payments that they pay the players, depending on your position group, that are going to come in and potentially make an impact right away. That number's their number, and it's not going to change. There's no negotiation there. It is what it is. We miss on some recruits because of that. But at the same time, it also dwindles out the recruits that aren't coming for the right reason. It's why Ohio State has the culture that it has because of how they recruit in this nil era. If you're coming to Ohio State, you are about your life in football first. Point blank, period. Money is not what you're coming for. Even though Jeremiah Smith is one of the top paid college players in the nation because he proves it on the field. And if you do that and you play for Ohio State, you are going to make as much as some of these other players in the nation as well. It's not that Ohio State doesn't pay that much money. You can make that money at Ohio State.
Oh, yeah. You might get it a little bit later, but you're going to end up making more in the long run because you're going to get developed too. I mean, and it's going to be something that stands the test of time. Like you kind of said earlier, you got to think long term. You can't just go blow everything right now and then lose all that money coming in. Some of these schools, it's going to backfire and they're going to lose donors real quick.
Yep.
Real quick, and then you also don't want donors controlling who's playing in the games. If they're throwing a bunch of money out there and like, why is this dude not playing? I'm not gonna throw money in there anymore. But look at this receiving class. What we have, what we need, right? Got wide receiver, pretty set up. The two of the best in the nation, right?
Yes.
And then I had to do a second page on this too, so we'll look at those too. But I think you got the third wide receiver in there and a tight end. Oh, fourth. I forgot about Brock.
Yeah, we got Jaden Ricketts. He ain't no sleeper either.
Oh man.
He's fast.
Wide receivers. I think we're set there. We got 4 coming in.
There's rumor that there's one more wide receiver taking an official visit to Ohio State, and I think if he wants in, they're going to let him in. But we are definitely set. They're not going to be going after any more wide receivers.
If it's someone that you can't pass up,
yeah,
why not? So offensive line, this class is heavy on wide receiver, heavy on offensive line. Obviously, we're going to take a couple more offensive linemen. And let's see, we have 3 right now. So 2 offensive tackles, and some of these guys are kind of swing guys because, Tucker Smith is interior, but I think Maxwell Riley can play interior too. He could play anywhere on the offensive line, really. He's kind of that I'll play anywhere, just get me on the field type of dude.
Yeah.
So what do you think our biggest needs are? Defensive tackle. We've got to start there, right?
Yep. It's a defensive line. Defensive tackle, I'm less worried about because we're in on players like P.J. Dean, Deuce Geralds, and believe it or not, Jameer Perez, the Florida commit.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens there. I wouldn't. I also have spoken to Jameer Perez. I talk to him every so often, and I was told he's going to be taking his official visit to Ohio State. So we'll see where that goes. Sure. But Deuce Geralds is a strong Buckeye lead, and P.J. Dean is as well. And those are 2 of the best D tackles in the nation. So we're doing well there. It's defensive end where there seems to be this anxiety in Buckeye Nation for this. I don't really share that anxiety right now because it's along the same lines of having anxiety about our backup defensive tackles, and it's that the class isn't over yet. I mean, if you look at the players that are coming for official visits to Ohio State, Larry Johnson's got a pretty good group of defensive ends. He's got Jake Crew and Luke Waffle on campus right now as we speak. And some other big time ones as well. And I'm really liking what I'm hearing about Luke Waffle.
Yeah, I want him.
I believe he's the Buckeyes' number 1 defensive end that they want in this class. And he likes the Buckeyes a lot. So we'll wait and see. But yeah, it's defensive end, defensive tackle. Larry Johnson's recruiting classes last year was good. I liked the class we got last year, but it was the year before that and the year before that. That everybody wants to point to. And I don't know what's going on, right? But let's wait and see. And I just refuse to believe that Ryan Day is going to let defensive line recruiting lack for 3 or 4 years in a row, wherever side you're on as Buckeye fans. Again, I like last year's class, but with what Ryan Day is doing with offensive line recruiting this year, you don't think that he's paying attention to defensive line recruiting as well? Him being able to take a step back, and give the offensive play calling over has allowed him to keep his eye on this stuff a little better, hence the changes at offensive line. And I think they got something up their sleeve on the defensive line as well for some of these big-time recruits that they want. I think they're going to make sure they get them somehow, if you know what I mean.
Oh, they will. It's happening. It's definitely happening. Let's get into this. Anything else on recruiting end that you want to go over real quick before we get into the EA Sports game?
No, not really. There is a sleeper coming out of these official visits. Offensive lineman Breck Koleje, I believe an IMG guy. There's a little bit of steam picking up there, and he hasn't been talked about much, but he's a 4-star interior offensive lineman, very good offensive lineman. So that's the last update I have on recruiting.
Yeah, and we're like sleeper with a 4-star.
Yeah,
man, we're blessed to be Buckeyes, aren't we?
Yeah.
All right, let's look at this. Let's look at what Ryan Day looks like.
Dude, bro.
I mean, it's reasonable, but it's off a little bit, man.
Yeah, that's completely off. Ryan Day must have not signed his release or something.
They just got the beard right. I mean, you got that.
Yeah, but that is it. There's no way. Ryan, with the technology they have, I'm telling you, I don't think Ryan Day signed. You know how some players don't sign, and they like JT Tuimoloau. We had some other defensive end last year.
No, he said there was a post that he was signed.
Yeah, I know.
That he's in the game. I think it
took a while.
They just didn't get it right. I mean, it's not
so?
terrible.
No, because it didn't even have his name. It didn't even have JT's name. So he wasn't in the game for the longest. If he is now, that's a surprise to me. But we'll see about Ryan, because that doesn't look like Ryan at all. You think it does, bro?
No, I think he looks like maybe like a little Hispanic there or something.
He does, man. He does. Hey, what about? Are you getting sick of this? There's always some type of making scum look good in these trailers. Did you see the trailer with Kenyatta Jackson missing Bryce Underwood on the sack?
Yeah, the freshman who's not even taken a snap yet. Are you a gamer? Are you a big gamer?
Not a big gamer, but I bought a PS whatever it is to play this, play this game here. Like, I don't really game like that. Yeah, but Robert made a good point in the chat. He said Ryan Day's on the cover, so I'm sure he's in the game. Yeah, you're right, but then why did they make him like not look that good? And that is JJ Smith. I think he's the only 100 overall player in the game, right? Looks like Chum Lee from Pawn Stars. Don't be saying that about our head coach, man. That is not good.
That's pretty bad. You know, you mentioned Michigan, and they do have someone at EA Sports, a developer that is a Michigan fan. So we knew it came out last year. I can't remember exactly who it was, but there's someone there. He's gonna make Michigan look good every time.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Only because the owner of EA is from Scum. I didn't know that it was the owner. I thought it was one of their developers.
I think it's like the president or somebody really high up is a Scum alumni. But then they also, I mean, Bryce Underwood on the cover of the EA Sports thing. Like, are you joking? A freshman quarterback that's never played a snap, and then also, who's that other dude? From Scum that they put in the background, everybody talking about one of their old quarterbacks or something. I forget who it was, but it's like, why is he on there? I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, well, they did. But who else was on there? There was a couple of just former players that were on there from different teams.
Tim Tebow was on there.
Tim Tebow was in there. Yeah. I mean, so like if they had some studs, they put them in. I don't know why they do that, but whatever. But at least they got our studs there and got a couple of pictures. This was an awesome highlight. I didn't put the video on here, but Caleb Downs knocking that ball down, that was pretty sweet. It's in the big house too, which I hope this happens numerous times next season.
I know. You can't talk about EA Sports without mentioning the fact that Donovan Edwards was on the cover of last year's game. You got to clown on him for that. An undrafted running back was on the cover of
Denard Robinson. Yeah. Isn't he the one that was it Denard Robinson that got the DUI in Ann Arbor and got kicked off the team?
Boy, I think so, but I don't know. I can't
he
remember.
He was on the coaching staff last year.
Yeah, there's been so many of them that have been arrested for something that it's hard to keep track anymore. But
I wrote an article on it
yeah,
too, and I can't even remember.
yeah, it is him. He gets arrested for a DUI, kicked off the team, and he's on the cover of EA Sports. And how obvious does it need to be that somebody loves Michigan at EA Sports? I mean, how obvious?
Yes, he got fired for the DUI.
Yeah,
and he was like, I watched that video recently. He was like asleep. He had to hit a street sign, and he was asleep still. They had to wake him up and to arrest him.
It's a good role model for these kids about to play this game to be on the cover. Great.
He needed that money to pay off his lawyer fees.
Good job, EA Sports. You really got it done.
That is insane. I mean, maybe that was in the books before. No, it wasn't. I don't know why.
You got to put up chaps there. If I click them, do they come on? No. Yeah. I was going to say that, but I didn't want to be too mean. But yeah, it's too great. It's too great. I mean, the jokes write themselves with that fan base. They do it to themselves. It's just, I can't help it, man, because everywhere I look, they're saying something. It's just like, oh my God, they really believe it. So
yeah. I don't understand. I think that fan base is coming around. They're a little worried now. They're a little worried what's going to happen with the NCAA. And it's about time that they're worried. Like, how did you just now become worried?
Yeah, no, I know.
If you flipped all that around and it was Ohio State, the ESPN reporters would still be there reporting on until something happens.
Yeah.
They would have never left. They would have had a tent outside the Woody. Just be like, hey, is something happening today? Because I
just refuse to believe that if this was Ohio State, this would be over already. They would have accepted whatever sanctions are coming their way, and it'd be over already. But
yeah, they would have had a press conference, fired a coach immediately, and it would be over. Yeah,
their hearing's coming up. Well, we got 6 days for their hearing.
You know, we're not going to hear anything from that for a while, too.
I know, but something's going to leak.
I don't think we're going to hear anything till like right before games start in August.
Yeah.
And then if Michigan decides, they're going to take the legal route, which I don't think that they should, but they probably are because they've been trying since the beginning. It just doesn't make any sense. It's not like they're going to sue the NCAA.
Well, they also said they were going to take him to court for, I think this is going to be another suspension. If you try to suspend our head coach, we're taking it to court. I think you're going to see, there's no way they want all that information out in public. There's no way. With everything going on in their program, I'm not buying that they're going to fight this at all. I just do not buy it. I mean, they've been fighting it the entire time, they say, but I'm just not buying it. But maybe they do. Maybe there's no other option, because what the NCAA is asking for is going to make your program irrelevant for the next 5 to 10 years. So it's like they might be thinking in their mind, well, I mean, we've already lost this. We might as well go for it. Let's just, try to win. So I don't know. But
there's an appeal process too. 45 days. I think that it's 30 days.
Yeah, I think it's 40. I think it's 45 days. There was an update on the NCAA dashboard that here recently Scum filed like 2 different things with the NCAA, and the NCAA responded already very quickly, which lead me to believe that Scum got shut down on whatever they were asking.
Nope.
Just got told.
I think they sue them for like defamation of character and monetary.
Yeah. They're just going for overreach is what they're going for. They're trying. That's what they would do. They would say that the NCAA doesn't have the power to take it this far. Like they went too far. It would be a civil case, and essentially, if they did, it would just be literally like up to a judge sitting in a courtroom to decide whether the NCAA went too far or not. And they might be willing to take that chance, or a jury, go in front of a jury and plead their case and see. But
you're right. The civil case would be interesting because you don't have to have as much evidence in a civil case as you do.
No. Yeah.
for a criminal case, that is interesting. How we always get on this, man. I just gotta laugh at Michigan right now. It's a joke. It is a joke, and in all seriousness, like some of the things that have been happening up there are insane and crazy, and the fact that coaches are getting caught on To Catch a Predator is just like, my goodness, what? How?
I didn't mean to laugh. That's not funny, but I mean,
It's not funny, but it's just because it's like it's a hated rival. Like sometimes you want bad things out of a hated rival, but you don't want kids to be involved, man. And 13-year-old was, being basically To Catch a Predator for that. Alex Yude met him at a liquor store. And he was getting his, I forget what it was. I've watched the video a couple times, but I think he was getting vodka or something. And thought he was meeting a 13-year-old girl. It's just
deep.
Sad, dude. And it's, having kids of your own and daughters of your own, it makes it sad that there's people like that out there. And then the Wise investigation, I mean, stealing, but essentially seems like allegedly, I don't know if he's been convicted yet or anything, so I have to say allegedly.
They've
stealing information
from records.
Yeah.
On the bad end of things, the most penalized college team in all of sports. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of wild. Definitely in football, but I mean, and then you go to the sign stealing thing. That's a record. It's never happened before. The amount that they've been violations they're piling up to NCAA, that's a record in college football. And then this Matt Weiss and all this information, that's got to be up the top for private information leaking out of a college up there. The number one case for that. I mean, I've never heard of anything that as many people as that has affected. So,
and the people that were filing these charges against Matt Wise were like, there was a quote, something along the lines of, "This is the most I've seen out of someone doing this individually." Now, if it was like multiple people in a different country, like scheming all together to steal data, and particularly like nude pictures of or intimate moments of college students, like, it's a low level for like a ring of people, but for one person doing it, it's enormous, the amount of people that he's stolen information from. And if you're doing that, like, what's holding you back from anything else? Like, if your morals are that low, what else could you be doing?
It just goes to show you how blessed we are to be Buckeye fans and how blessed we are to have Ryan Day as the head coach. And, the things that we complain about as Ohio State fans, I mean, look at it compared to them or some other teams in the country. I just think this is a beautiful time to be a Buckeye fan, and I can't think of another team in the nation that has the momentum in every aspect. I mean, academics, that's one of these things a lot of these recruits and their parents are talking about, is that Ohio State was the only college football team to beating out Stanford and getting on like a Harvard-like level. It's kind of wild what they're doing there. The character coming out of there, the revivals, the baptisms on campus. And then you also add winning a national title on top of that. Like, what else do you want in a college football team? I'm serious. What else? I know the answer to that, 2 in a row, but we'll see.
We're only satisfied when we win championships now. You got a taste for that. There's blood in the water. We want more. Yeah.
I know, it's pretty wild, but I think we got a shot. I think we've got a higher shot than a lot of people are thinking. It's going to be harder, right? It's just that experience factor. How fast are these guys got the experience? You got a new, my like main worry, if I were to pick one, and this is Ohio State issues to be worried about, is like Brian Hartline as offensive coordinator, because I think Julian Sain's going to tear it up. But I'm not that worried about that. But I see this beautiful noon game you pulled up. So
yeah, I had to transition into this because we were getting negative, we got positive again. So let's get back to the negative. Man, this noon game, it's gonna be blistering hot. It is gonna be hot. And just muggy as hell. I hope we get unseasonably cool weather because that's the thing about the Michigan game. Like, it's at noon, but you want it at noon. You don't want to be cold as hell at 7 p.m. in Ohio or in Michigan. Like, but this is the beginning of the season. It's the first game. It's Labor Day weekend. Like, it is going to be hot. It is going to be muggy, and it's going to be nasty. And you're going to get sunburned. And my bald guy is going to have that tan line right here, because I don't want my head burnt.
Hey, believe it or not, there is some positive that's coming out of this. Let me tell you what it is, okay? Number one, it's that Ross Burek is actually, however you say his last name, is fighting this.
Mm-hmm.
He is wanting, he sees Ohio State they hear the fans. They hear us, right? Of course, it
I
also
think Fox hears us.
Recruiting different. Yeah, that's the next thing I was going to say. Then number two is that Fox is open ears and trying to change this. They had a solution figured out. Texas shut it down. But we're moving in the right direction. At least there was some things attempted this time. It's better than last year. Nothing was ever attempted. Now it's being attempted. I still question why Fox can't just play the game later, but I don't know. They have openings later.
It's going to be baseball. They're going to have the playoffs.
Oh, okay.
They already have that contract, so they just want to double dip.
Yeah.
And
Money,
for them it makes sense. For fans of college football, it sucks ass. I hate every second of it. Because this game, come on, like the shoe at night, Texas, Ohio State. Does anything sound better than that?
Yeah.
Like having that drone show we saw against Tennessee, we're gonna miss out on that. And that's why I made this, that picture. I was like, I put that Ohio that was made in the drone show against Tennessee, because we're not going to get to see that. We're not going to get to see those lights beaming, getting the crowd wild. What we need is a good hashtag to get the crowd pumping, though. We need something to trend. It's got to be a noisy nooner or something. I don't know. Something's got to go with Buckeye Nation, because they got to show up. We can't have that crowd like sitting with their hands in their lap, not getting rowdy, because this is Ohio State. This is what Ohio State's become. You have all of those big donors, older, that don't want to get rowdy for games, but we need the noise against. We have to have that field environment. Have to have somebody to get pumped up. Whether it's like everyone gets pom poms or something, like pom poms get it going. The towels get it going a little bit. So they need to get something media wise to get this going. And
look at
Fox needs to give us the private jet so we can fly recruits up for this game.
Yeah, for sure.
That needs to be a demand right now.
This is essentially, in my eyes, the Natty game last year. Once we beat Texas, I was very confident about Notre Dame. But even going into this year, you're looking at the number 1 and number 2 team in the nation. The very first game of the season for both teams is going to be played at noon, right? So not only do you have the effects from last year's season and the way that game ended, that builds up this game to that level. And then you add the quarterbacks for both teams and the amount of talent. I think this game is going to show either 3 or 4 of the top 10 players in college football, maybe even 5. I don't know for sure. But in one game, to have that many of your top players in the nation playing on one field, and it's going to be at noon in the Horseshoe, hopefully Buckeye Nation does not need help getting riled up for that. But if it was
I have to read this just for people that are going to listen to this on audio. Chap says, Texas AD is just a pussy. Come on, man. They play San Diego State at week 2, and he's talking about the team needs an extra day of rest. Well, did you see Arch Manning get hit against Ohio State last year? He knows his team's going to need an extra day of rest. They're going to be in that ice bath for like a week.
He barely got up, man.
I know.
But let me ask you, dude. Let me ask you, like, do you blame Texas for not wanting to play Ohio State at night?
Yeah,
like, I don't.
Reverse this. If Ohio State agreed to that, I would be pissed.
Yes,
why would you
I
do
would
that?
too.
There's no reason to agree to that. You don't want a rowdy ruckus fan.
When we think about playing Penn State, the time matters. When we knew Penn State was at noon last year, we were like, yes, we're so glad this isn't a night game.
Yeah.
The same thing, man, with Tech. I mean, they're not going to go for that. If they have a say in it, they're keeping it at noon for sure. They don't want the crowd involved in this game. It's already going to be hard enough without the crowd. They don't need us having a 3-point advantage. But
yeah, for sure. And then the other thing we got to talk about before we get off here, we got to talk about that new playoff alignment. Because what was said today was that the Big Ten may be trying to force the 4-4, like 4 from the SEC, 4 from the Big Ten, unless the SEC goes to the 9-game schedule. And that makes perfect sense to me. Like, Petitti's on it, man. Why would you agree to that if they're not having a marquee game? They're missing out on the extra marquee game. So there's the chances of them getting more in, less 2-loss teams, are greater if you don't have a 9-game schedule.
Yeah. I haven't looked into a bunch of information on these new playoff things, man. I've been so focused on the recruiting stuff. I haven't dove into it, but all I can say is, I mean, personally, I'm not a fan of adding more, but we've already lost there, so it's happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but I was a fan of making it more than 4. And then when they said 12,
Absolutely.
I was like,
good. We can stop there. We can stop there.
Yeah.
I wanted to go to 8.
I know. I was
8
like,
was good
dang,
for me.
I like more, but you jumped all the way to the max, I would think. And I mean, dude, I could see it being more than the thing that's scary is I could see it being more than 16 in the future. And that's what's scary about it. And it's just like, bruh, you just, I don't know, man. It's going to take away, the importance of, some of these regular season games. And you can argue about that all day long if you want, but it just is. If you can only lose one regular season game to get into the playoffs, regular season is going to be very important. If you can now lose 3, it's going to be less important. That's I don't know how obvious it gets. Now you're still going to have your games that, I mean, the Ohio State scum game, and you have your games that are always going to mean something, but it takes value away from even those sometimes from a national level for sure.
This is interesting. How do you Sikneog? Anyway, Doug Laramie, I'm assuming that's who he's saying, did research over the past 10 years. The Big Ten averaged more teams in the top 16 than the SEC did pre-playoffs.
Oh, wow.
That's interesting. It makes sense to me because the Big Ten always had those teams right outside of the top 10. They always had, those second-tier Big Ten teams were always right outside.
Yeah.
So the SEC just had all those top 10 teams. That makes sense. Wow, this is going to be interesting. And I don't think it'll get to 64. I don't think they'll have time for that.
No, I do know.
How are you going to plan that? That's a lot.
I do know the SEC is definitely starting to get a little emotional with how they operate because of how the Big Ten has been dominating the last couple of years, at least. You see, they're getting a little more aggravated with how they talk. It's now reached the SEC president who was coming out and just saying some off-the-wall stuff. Kalen DeBoer opening up, saying the stuff that he said. It's like, bro, you lost to Vandy, Oklahoma. Like, what are you? You're getting your feelings hurt, and you just got in there, buddy. You better slow your roll.
They're mad. They're mad because they can't bag men anymore.
No, I know. It's an even playing field now.
It's a gun. Yeah. And the transfer portal has completely ruined the SEC. I mean, I can't say completely because obviously there's still great ball down there and there always will be. It's just the Big Ten's able to bring some boys in. You know, if they lost some recruiting battles, all right, let's bring them in the portal.
And also during the second window, SEC players can't transfer to SEC schools.
Yeah, which
in
is
the transfer portal.
I've said this before. That's the most Big Ten thing I've ever seen in my life, and the SEC's doing it. Like it's so much more beneficial for the Big Ten than it is beneficial for the SEC because we're going down there and stealing all those dudes.
I know.
Yeah, Lane Kiffin being salty. I don't feel bad for Lane Kiffin at all. Like,
no.
And I'm sure none of the Tennessee fans do.
He's the Lincoln Riley of the SEC. He's the Lincoln Riley of the SEC.
Oh, and that's the other thing, man. We got to talk about it. These rivalry games going away. That is what makes college football what it is. That is the best thing. That's why you grow up. That's why your dad passed it down to you. It was passed down from his grandfather all the way down generations because of these rivalry games. It's in your blood. It's in your DNA that you want to beat these teams. So if you're taking away the Notre Dames versus USC's, you're taking away college football. You're taking away a piece of college football. These things have lasted for generations. And you just think because you want to have a better shot at getting to the playoffs. Well, you know what a better shot at getting to the playoffs is? Beating Notre Dame every year. And then going to Ohio State and playing. Lincoln Riley's quote was, I don't think, like, times are changing, basically. I'm going to paraphrase here. And people aren't going to scroll past Ohio State versus USC. Yeah, well, they're not going to scroll past Notre Dame, USC either. And if you win both those games, you're getting into the playoffs. Unless you just, lose to some podunk schools.
And
Oklahoma's
if that's the case, you wouldn't stand a chance anyway. So
for sure, like this is just something we can't get rid of these rivalries, man. You got to bring that back. You got to bring back what made college football what it is. Otherwise, we're going to end up being the NFL, and you're not going to have that pageantry. You're not going to have that generational fandom, and it's just going to turn into, like I said, the NFL, and it's not going to be as fun. Like the bands, the rivalries. The alumni, that's what makes college football what it is. That's why I love it.
Yeah, I totally agree. You definitely can't get rid of them.
But I got to get back to some of these comments. I know I'm kind of jumping back and forth, but it's awesome seeing the Big Ten better than the SEC. I can't wait till they win 3 in a row and we can just say you can't spell second without SEC. Lane Kiffin being super salty every day of my life. Yeah, their own rules, killing themselves. And like I said before, that seems like something the Big Ten would do. And the SEC is doing it now, and I think it's great. Want Notre Dame in the Big Ten, tell them no longer have any Big Ten team to play them. I'm kind of in that boat, but I don't think USC is one that can give them up. Everyone else, yes, but that rivalry's just been there so long. You cannot get rid of that. I mean, think back to the Bush push, all those years. It's almost on a level of Ohio State, Michigan. I mean, nothing ever will be, but it's pushing it, and that's one thing that you got to keep. Yeah, this is disappointing. Disappointing to me. What do you think? You got to keep these rivalries?
100%. Yes, they are the foundation. I mean, they're the foundation of a huge part of college football, and like that's the regular season. I don't know, man. That it's like it's so if you're a college football fan, it's obvious why you need to keep the rivalries. You just have to. There's so many things about all the rivalry games that bring you that juice. If it wasn't for those, we'd have one game, maybe 3 games we'd pay attention to, and that's the semifinals and the finals. You know what I'm saying? It's like, bro. And then you would give, just think about it. Some of these teams that don't make it to the playoffs to Oklahoma, they got that Red River, whatever they got going on with Texas, all those rivalries, man. You got to keep them. They have to be protected. Yeah.
Which they call like 10 different things now.
Yeah, I know.
So whatever. The game's a lot easier. Anyway, easier to
Yeah.
pronounce.
It is.
But yeah, thank you for joining us, man. Everyone, like, subscribe, click, share, do all that good stuff. Support us on Twitter. We're both on Twitter. Support us on Facebook if you're on Facebook too. I don't know. Buckeye Boys,
Yeah.
are you on? You're on Facebook?
Yeah, we are lacking in the Facebook, Instagram realm, but we're working on
That's
it,
all
getting
right.
better. We do have a page, but we don't post anything on it. That's about to change.
Yeah. The pageantry is what separates college football from the NFL. 100% agreement with you. Lane Kiffin got beat 70-7 coaching Florida Atlantic. Oh man, some of these comments are fire. I love what's happening here in what I'll call the locker room for us. Man, this is great. It's great to talk college football with you again. Always a pleasure, Dev. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to get out with a real quick little ad that I have to do. It's icebreakers. It's hot. You want one of these. You're going to need it for the Texas
Icy
game.
Breeze is the world's first portable air conditioner and cooler. A premium ice cooler that doubles as an eco-friendly portable air conditioner. This is not a swamp cooler, just blowing air across ice. Over 60 parts and components allow Icy Breeze to achieve what no other product in the world can do. The secret behind the Icy Breeze is an innovative design that circulates chilled ice water through a heat exchanger in the lid, replacing the Freon used in most ACs. Fresh air is drawn from hidden vents in the top of the cooler, pulled across the exchanger, and chilled down to 35 degrees cooler than the outside air. A 3-speed fan control delivers Icy Breeze's dry, cold air up to 25 miles per hour, just like a car AC. And a stay-put flex hose directs the breeze in any direction. Wherever you need it, Icy Breeze helps you beat the heat.
You know, I've actually used that. It's worth it. I mean,
really?
they say it's not just an evaporative cooler. It is. It really is just an evaporative cooler, but it's awesome. It works.
I mean, I
Cool.
personally, maybe I shouldn't say this, but when I get too hot, sometimes I just man up. You know what I mean?
No, I don't.
Bro, I just joking with you. I wanted to see what you'd say. Bro, I don't like the heat. It gets hot, boy.
I can't stand the heat. And yeah, down there in Tallahassee, it gets hot real quick.
I'm a little bit used to I tell you what I'm not used to now is that's the cold. When it gets cold, my body is definitely, but the heat, I work in the heat every day. So it's just like, man, it is what it is. But boy, when it gets cold, my Ohio bones have kind of gone away a little bit from that.
Yeah. Got that thin blood now.
Yeah.
Can't take it.
But hey, man, I appreciate you having me on. Definitely show us that love, hit that like button, everything else. We'll be doing more shows together. I enjoy this for sure. And
absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we should invite. Did you invite Mello? Did you see if he was available?
Yeah, he wasn't available.
He wasn't available anyway. Hey, man, I love these Saturday night shows in the off season.
Yeah.
Love it.
I know. They're especially now with this recruiting stuff picking up. There's going to be a lot of stuff, a lot of news coming out too. But just a reminder, on the Buckeye Boys, we'll actually be streaming on Buckeye Scoop for the Felix Ojo interview at 6:00 on Monday. So,
nice, man.
If you don't want to read an article and you want to hear from the source himself, check us out.
Get in there, check it out. God bless everyone. Take care and go Bucks.